Okay, let's say you have this function that you want to call whenever a player joins the game. Well, it wouldn't make sense to just call this at the beginning of your script because that would only run once when the server starts up. In order to do things like that, we have to use what are called events. And there are tons and tons of events. We're going to use a couple today just to get the hang of it. Events can be connected to functions in order to run a piece of code. So let's see how we can use this. For our example of a player joining the game, we can say game.players, which is our players service. And then if you type dot, you can see there are tons and tons of different events. All these little lightning bolts, those are different events within our players service. One of those events is player added. So what if we did that? What if we said dot player added? Well, how do we actually call this function whenever this event is triggered? Well, the way you do that is by using :connect. So, on any event like this one here, player added, you can write :connect, which will connect a function to an event. So now, all we have to do is type parentheses after the connect, and then type in our function that we want to connect to that event. And then we can type in player joined here, which is our function up here. So this is basically saying, hey, whenever a player is added, we want to connect this function, player joined. So it'll call this function whenever a player joins the game. Now we can test this by playing the game, and we can see a player has joined the game because I joined the game. Now, some events give us some default parameters, such as the player added function. As you can see, it shows function player. So this is basically saying, hey, it's going to give us the player that joined the game. So we can create a parameter inside of our player joined function called player. And we can call this parameter whatever we want. Remember, it really doesn't matter what we call it, but I'm going to call mine player just for readability. So this event automatically gives us the player that has joined. So how could we actually use this player variable? Well, let's just use it to print the player's name. So let's just go ahead and print player.name. And if we go ahead and hit play, we can see DevHeroOfficial, my username, has been printed into the console, into the output. Now, if you want to tell Lua that this is a player object, what you can do is after this player parameter, you can write : and then player. And now Lua will know that the player parameter is a player object. That's a little more advanced, so don't worry if that doesn't make sense. Now we have a function for whenever a player joins, but let's create a function for whenever a player leaves. So we can say function player left. And again, we're going to want to have a parameter of the player that is leaving the game. And then here, why don't we just go ahead and print a player has left the game, and then we can go ahead and concatenate player.name. So this little dot right here, that's concatenation, and what that's saying is we're going to join these two strings together. We're going to join a player has left the game, and we're also going to add to it the player's name. Now, this obviously isn't going to run because we haven't connected it to an event. So let's just go ahead and say game.players, and then there's another event called player removing, :connect player left. So now we have connected our player left function whenever a player is removed from the game. And if we go and click in here, you can see that this function also gives us the player that left the game. So if we play, our username is printed into the console, and if we go ahead and stop, it'll say a player has left the game, DevHeroOfficial. Okay, perfect. So now we can connect functions to events. Now another practical event would be a killbrick event. So I'm going to show you how you can script that now. If this video has been helpful so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could take a couple seconds to destroy that like button. It lets YouTube know that this video is helpful and they'll push it out to other people. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and create a little cube on the floor. You can anchor it, color it red, and maybe make it neon. Now I'm going to rename this part to killbrick. And I'm going to put a script inside of it. You can name your script whatever you'd like. Now let's create a function for whenever a player touches this killbrick. So we can say function on touch, and let's just go ahead and create this brand new function. So we want to call this function whenever the part is touched. Now there is an event called .touched, and that is a super common event that you will use a lot. So to do that, we can say script.parent, remember that's the killbrick, so the script's parent is the killbrick, and then we can say .touched, :connect on touch. So we're saying whenever this part is touched, we want to connect this function on touch. Now if we click on here, we get this little thing called this other part. Now what this is, and this is also a default parameter that we get, and that is the part that touched our kill brick. So we could say part as our parameter, and if we, for example, just go ahead and print part.name, well, if we go ahead and play this game and walk over to our kill brick and touch it, you should see we have all these different parts that are being printed into the output. So we have left foot, lower left leg. These are all the different parts that just touched our kill brick. So this part parameter is whatever has touched our kill brick. Now inside of every single Roblox character there is this thing called a humanoid. If I open mine up, here it is right here, and that controls the player's health. So if I scroll down, I can find the health right here, and if I were to set it to 0, I would die. So we can use this inside of our kill brick script to actually make the kill brick kill a player. So the first thing we'll need to do is check to see if there is a humanoid inside of the part's parent. So we can say if part.parent : find first child humanoid, then. So what we're basically saying here is, let's just assume the left foot touched this kill brick. Well, what we're saying is part, so the left foot's parent, which would be the player's character, if we find a humanoid in the parent, then we can assume that it is a player, because all players have a humanoid. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to look up a tutorial on find first child and all that stuff. What we can just say is part.parent.humanoid.health equals to 0. So now if we go ahead and play the game and we touch our kill brick, we are killed, because what we're doing is we're saying, hey, whenever a player touches it, we want to kill the player, and we are connecting that function to the .touched event. And we could also duplicate this kill brick a ton of times and add a ton of different kill bricks. Maybe you're making an obby and you would want to do that. And all these different kill bricks should work. Now, the only problem is this is super unorganized and you have a bunch of scripts in your workspace that all do the same exact thing. So to fix that, I would definitely use collection service, which you can learn by clicking the video on screen right now.